Hey everyone, welcome back. This is HD, and it's time for the HD World Tournament final game in the round of 8. This is Liquid Tyler versus Sen, and it is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg. I know you guys have been waiting to get this game out of the way, as we are now, after this game actually, we're going to be in the semifinals and the grand finals. And I guess I'll go ahead and remind you guys, the grand finals is $1,000, the third place is $250, and I don't know why I'm doing this backwards. The second place is going to be $500. So it's $250, $500, $1,000, and it is going to be it's a decent lump sum money for these players. Obviously, whoever wins here will go to the semifinals to play against Straylock. And in the other semifinal B, we actually have the players already determined. It is, let me go ahead and look to remind myself because I don't actually recall. It is Zoc versus Damaga, so that's going to be a Protoss versus Zerg semifinal. And yeah, pressure's on the line here for Nony and Sen. A little bit of lag to kickstart things, which is always a good way to start off a game. I guess it's kind of like calling a timeout in the middle of the guy who's about to kick the field goal. You kind of calm your nerves, calm yourself. But it is going to be a Zerg versus Protoss, and there is going to be a little bit of lag in this game simply because Sen is from Taiwan. He is playing on the softball account, which seems to be his North American account. Tyler obviously from the United States of America, and they are playing basically halfway across the globe from each other, so there's a little bit of lag, even though it is a 21st century, even though it's BattleNet 2.0. Not all great things are gonna happen, you know. Not all great things happen, but we'll see what happens this game. We do have Tyler here going for Gateway at the front of his ramp, and he's got a Nexus at the main, everything looking pretty standard, and it does look like Sen is gonna be basically exploiting this map, which is a very high economy map. Lots of expansions. You've got the natural right here, and then you've got this little pocket expo right beside it, and a pretty big ramp that you have to defend. But since this map, since the nature of it is so big, lots of Zerg players like to exploit it and go for the 14 hatch, and it does look like Sen is going to do that. Now I want to remind you guys that last game that Sen played, he played against Whitera in the round of 16, and he was not playing so much of a macro game in that series. He actually more lean towards high aggro style, which is, in my opinion, a much more interesting style of Zerg player than just, you know, macroing up, getting a ton of drones, and then moving out with a big army. I think the style of the God of War July Zerg style, which is basically constantly pumping units, constantly streaming forces, plopping down creep tumors at the front of the Protoss ramp, throwing spine crawlers at the front as well, which is what Sen did against Whitera, and that's how Sen is here in the round of 8. I think that's the kind of style of play that really makes your opponent think. It makes Protoss players not be complacent. They have to constantly stay true to their game. They always have to be worried about the possibility of pressure, and I think it's something that Sen does very, very well. And we might possibly see that kind of style of play after Sen gets his economy going. He already has pretty good drone saturation at the main, I believe. Yeah, he's working on his drone count, 21 under 23, so it's coming up there. But I don't expect him to do anything funky or crazy yet. He does have speed on the way for his Zerglings, so he will probably get a couple of Zerglings out across the map just to control scouting probes, maintain ground control, and keep the Protoss player locked inside the main. And it does look like Nony here is going to be going for 3-gate Expo. He has 2 warp gates already up inside the main, and warp gate technology on the way with sentries out. Usually a good indicator that the Protoss player wants to grab an expansion, and Sen will be getting his 3rd expansion very early. Wow, this is gonna be huge for Sen if Nony decides to go for the Nexus, which Nony is going for the Nexus. So Sen is gonna be very pleased to see that Nony is going for this early expansion, the 3-gate Expo, and if this Zergling can confirm that, then that is gonna be really big. And yes, the Zergling confirms the Nexus. So now Sen is thinking, ha ha ha, I've got my 3rd way earlier than you do. I'm going to have a great economy. I've already got almost full saturation at the natural. 34 drones, guys, 35 drones. That's about, you know, 6 or 7 drones away from fully saturated main in the natural. And Sen is going to be so comfortable to play a macro style. So I guess he's not going to be aggressive this game. And I didn't really expect him to, because this map is so big, you know, it's Terminus. I mean, it's one of the biggest maps in StarCraft 2 right now, save some kind of random custom map that goes 264 by 264, and you know, it's like a risk map. But no, that's not the case here. This is a big map, but not that big. But but Sen is going to have a great economy. Nony just now starting to get that Nexus up. He does have a ton of sentries out, and I think we saw Hallucination being researched. Yes. So Nony is going to do scouting with Hallucinated Phoenix, which is a good idea. Protoss players can do that. Zergling runs in here to suicide into the wall of sentries and confirms that, yeah, there's a lot of sentries there. And, you know, I know that Nony is going to have a pretty big sentry ball. And here comes Nony scouting. Phoenix is going to get inside the main, and it's going to dash away from the queen, go straight into the natural. Sees 3 spine crawlers here, which kind of indicates to me that we might see mutas here from Sen. Usually when Zerg players go for the spine crawler grid at the natural expansion, with this many spine crawlers, it usually indicates that the Zerg will not have a significant ground army. And with all the gas running here, with 5 gases, keep in mind only 1 at the backside expansion, it does look like Sen is going to be going for mutas. So, I don't know if Nony was able to deduce that with his Hallucinated Phoenix, which just there faded away. If Nony did, then Nony should know to get a forge up. He does have a forge. And he should know to get a couple of cannons up. Cannons outside the main, at the natural. Maybe 1 or 2. 1 is sufficient, 2 just to be safe. And Nony should be well enough equipped to deal with any Mutalisks, but he also has to worry about Zerglings. And, you know, Zerglings can be a pretty large threat when the Zerg player has 3 hatcheries and they have all the gas funneled into Mutas. They have this huge reserve of minerals that they can then invest into Zerglings. And with speed already researched, I think almost certainly that is a strategy we're going to be seeing Sen employ here. He's got the Spire almost ready, and I think we're going to be seeing a pretty large ball of Mutas and Lings coming out relatively soon. And oh wow, with Nony grabbing a 3rd expansion now at the back of his natural, I think that we're going to see Sen try to exploit the Protoss and try to go for first blood here. We can see now the Phoenix getting picked off inside the main by the Queens, but the Phoenixes should see all these Zerglings. Yes, they do. So right now, Nony knows exactly what's going on. He sees the Spire as well, and he should almost certainly now know that it is Mutaling coming for him, and the one thing he has to be very worried about is this big ramp at the front of his natural. Even with all these sentries, you are going to be hard-pressed to force field this top ramp, this bottom ramp, and this big ramp right here. So Nony has to be very concerned about that, and I'm surprised that Nony is not opting to throw up some buildings here just to narrow that down a little bit. We do have Sen now starting to push out with the Mutas and the Lings. Keep in mind, Sen also grabbing the 4th as well, so really getting into high macro gear. And here comes these Mutalisks, guys. They're going to fly right into the main of the Protoss player, and they're going to get a couple of sentries, picks off a few, and Tyler quickly mobilizing his army, getting the Guardian Shields up, but the entire army, the entire force was actually a distraction. Now the Zergling's able to run right into the bottom expansion, and this is exactly what I was talking about, that big ramp being almost impossible to defend, and the Mutas and Lings exploiting the immobile Protoss army could possibly pick off this Nexus here. Force fields trying to keep the Zerglings away, reducing the surface area on the Nexus, but the Mutalisks with those Glaive Worms, I think they will be able to pick off the Nexus. The big building explodes, and electricity, fireworks, the remnants of that Nexus as a new one starting to go up, but more Mutalisks coming in from the outer space, this little area right here. I don't know what planet that looks like, Mars back there, but I digress. The Mutas are just doing so much damage, and here comes the Lings once again, gonna run straight into the main, doing the exact same strategy that Sen did in the first attack wave, which was distract the Protoss army and then run in with Lings. And I think these Lings may be able to kill off every single probe at the main. Oh man, Tyler just at the last second running a couple probes away, but was not able to save anything at all. And now the Mutalisks are, no, they're not gonna be able to pick off the Nexus this time, but who needs to when you kill off this many probes? 35 under 69 for Nony, and Nony has got to be reeling right now. He's mobilizing his army once again to deal with the ever-growing flock of Mutalisks, but he's got to worry about the Zerglings! The probe trying to wall off that ramp, but not gonna happen, and the Zerglings are gonna once again able to flood in, and what Sen does from here is, I mean, it's completely, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. You could give this to a 5-year-old, and I don't think he would, well, no, you can't give this to a 5-year-old, but I mean, you know, you're at such a huge lead right now. I don't see Sen losing this game. He has once again canceled the bottom side Nexus. It is an ever-growing economic gap, 75 over 32, with with Sen starting to saturate the 4th and claiming his 5th. The Mutalisks are constantly harassing by the skies, and Zerglings are constantly flooding in from the ground. And Nony is just... he finally decided to kind of narrow off this choke point, but just a little too late. Zerglings once again running in and saying, haha, I'm going to go straight for your natural, and there is not a darn thing you can do about it. And I think we're just moments away from a GG as the natural expansion has now gone down. Forge is even going to go down before the +1 upgrade finishes. No, +1 armor, +1 weapons already finished, but Nony is certainly in a lot of trouble right now because almost certainly he's lost this game, and going into game number 2, this being the round of 8, it is only a best of 3, and it's only one game away from for Nony to be knocked out of this tournament, and almost certainly not the situation that Nony wants. Sen here is just going wild inside the main, has done so much damage, and there are more Lings, more Mutas flooding in. Sen is going into Sauron Zerg status, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Sen is able to be the aggressor, which all too often Zerg players aren't. They always play passively, but a Zerg that plays aggressively can really take the game to the Protoss player, and he's just always flooding in units, attacking from the north, from the south, from the center, from every direction possible. And here we go for the finishing blow, and I just don't see Nony surviving this army of Lings and Mutas, this backup army. And yeah, Nony finally GGing out as he realized the situation was just so bleak and so desperate. There was just no way he was going to come back in this game. And I think one reason too that Nony kind of got overran, besides the fact that he was mobilizing his army to defend the Mutalisks and he left his ramp open to Zerglings on this very big ramp map, which is Terminus. The other reason is because Nony was trying to go into Colossus tech, and I think that Sen exploited the Protoss player going into Colossus tech and hit that window, that timing, just before the Colossus could start to come out. And that's really what kind of one of the key factors I feel like that allowed Sen to take this game away. And now we have one win for Taiwan as we move into game 2. Sen is from Taiwan, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, game 2 should be coming up next. I hope you guys stay tuned. I'm excited. I want to see who's going to advance forward to play against Straylock. So let's go ahead and get it on. HD signing out.